Okay, we are live now, and we are interviewing Justin Prime. So, give a little bit of rundown of who you are and what you do.
Justin Prime. Thanks for asking me, by the way. I'm
Yeah,
happy to be talking with you, man. Um, I'm I don't know where to start. I'm an artist, I guess a comic book artist, and just artist in general. I do a lot of like fan art, but I've been doing more and more and more of my own stuff, like my indie comic that I'm doing. It's called Scoldger Stories. I'm working on issue 3 currently. It's I call it a futuristic sci-fi epic.
right.
I'm sorry, futuristic ninja epic. Um, yeah, so coming up on issue 3, and then I'm also working on something called Astro Pig. That one I'm more in the writing and design phase, and that's like a kid's book that focuses on this little pig that's like dressed up in a spacesuit and travels to different planets for each book. Sorry, I got my rubber bands in my mouth.
Oh, that's fine.
I always forget about these things.
Uh, so, so how do you come up with your comic books? Like the Skulls, or how did you come up with that?
That was sadly not entirely my idea.
Okay,
I So my younger brother, I call him a creative powerhouse. Just is like constantly coming up with incredible ideas, and he had written this script called Mixed Martial Animals, and it's basically like a Ninja Turtles kind of thing where it's these humanoid animals.
gotcha.
So it's similar in that way. They fight off bad guys and stuff, and the bad guys in his story were these. They were called Scoldgers. And so I liked the story a lot, and the plan was to make that into a comic. And we got pretty far as development, but we kind of hit a standstill. And so I was super into the idea of making a comic still. And I asked him, "Is it okay if I use that Scoldger thing?" Like in his story, they were like the grunts; they were the expendable, soldiers that were coming from Earth. And I was like, can I use the Scoldgers and go deeper into who these guys actually are, these guys and girls, and give them, personalities and whatnot. And he was fine with that. And it started off as like a 10-page, just kind of portfolio builder, because I didn't think I could write. So my goal was just to do 10 pages. And I looked into Creative Commons and I was looking at poems and like short stories that were open to the public.
Yep.
And I found something called the Jabberwocky from Lewis Carroll, and I made that my first 10-page story with the Scoldger in it, and then I expanded that into it's written as a 6-page story arc right now, but I have this timeline that goes on and on that I've written down, it's in my head, and at some point I'll be able to get to.
Sounds pretty cool. I'm just looking through your Instagram right now. Um, so you got a lot of Venom art, like fan artwork.
Yeah.
Like, what's your fascination with Venom? I like Venom too, but I think everyone has like a specific reason why they like Venom or the symbiotes in general.
I've wondered that. And I'm not quite sure. I think part of it is because you can draw it so. I think the bestiality, the word bestiality is not a good fit here.
Yeah.
I don't know if that word's ever like a good fit anywhere. But just the raw like animal beastly nature that you can give to him, but that some artists can give to him. That's kind of what I go for, is that ferocious kind of look, combined with this high energy tendrils coming off of him and the symbiote's alive. So it's a character that can be so full of like energy, and I like to infuse as much energy into what I do, as much as I can. So
Right.
he's like a natural fit for. I like creepy, scary things. Like I did these creepy versions of fast food mascots not too long ago,
Right.
and I like giving things that creepy kind of edge. So Venom is terrifying, ideally, and the energy with it's like, I think it's like a perfect combination. I don't get bored of drawing him at all.
Yeah, I think I fell in love with them because I was like at that right age when the Spider-Man animated series was coming out,
Yeah,
and like Venom was like a huge part of that show.
yeah,
And I don't know, I just say I like the character ever since then.
it's a fantastic character.
Yeah.
My first introduction was in the comics when he first came out. I was reading Spider-Man, and
Yeah, I got into comics after the X-Men animated show and the Spider-Man animated show, so I kind of migrated
okay,
after that. So.
nice. Those are great intros to the. I mean, those are both just timeless,
Yeah,
series.
they kind of like compact like a huge amount of history into like a watchable format.
They did, yeah.
So I see like you do a podcast, you do a lot of content. Like, why do
Yeah.
you like to give so much content and also do a comic and find all this time to do it?
Well, so the first part of your question was, why do I do so much content?
Yes.
It's fun. It's that's I think it's maybe the primary motivating factor, but right alongside of that is that I realize how important the social part of social media is.
Right.
So that's a big part of it, but also like I know you listen to Gary Vee, right?
Yes, I do.
So you know that if my goal is not to sell stuff, honestly, that's not. I make a good living. I have a career that I've made some good choices in my life, so I'm not concerned about that. It's not the money at all. And if anything, I've lost money
Right.
on the comic production because shipping is a pain in the ass.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
I keep getting it wrong. I just shipped something to Australia, and I undercut it by like $10, and then I realized, oh, this guy had another order, and I didn't include it with it, so I got to pay another $25 probably.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's like it's just not an issue for me right now. Not because I'm making tons of money at all, but the amount of money they make off art balances out enough to where I'm not going to pick at it. But the social part of it's huge, and then like if I ever do want to, I don't know quite where I'm going with art and all this stuff I'm doing, but I know that I'm really enjoying it, and I know that once wherever I go, I'm going to have a bunch of people that find value in what I'm bringing.
Gotcha.
Or at least like a small handful that really buy into it. That's my goal. So that is, I think, a big part of why I'm doing so much content. I feel like I see that there's a need for a desire to learn about creation. But anyone can do that. You can find that anywhere. But I think what I've realized recently is that there's like a lot of insecurity that comes along with creation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so much anxiety and like doubt and all these excuses that we give ourselves. And I think I've finally started to like power through some of those. So I'm just kind of talking about them on my podcast here and there. So I think I've found a niche that I feel comfortable talking directly to and that can be helpful with.
Yeah, I kind of see. Well, I'm on the design end of things, but I see there's still a huge vast of a need of creatives giving educational stuff to more creatives from a creative perspective, because there isn't much there.
No, and there's tons of how-to. Like you can go anywhere and find how to use Clip Studio Paint or Photoshop or whatever, and even how to do comic books and how to tell stories. But then people don't move forward because they have these things in their head like, well, I'm going to wait until I have the right amount of followers, or I'm going to wait until I get this one thing down or whatever. So there's this gap in what we know and I think our desire to get there, because if we wanted it bad enough, we would just make it happen, I think, honestly. But I do think people, they want change and they want to move forward. But there's all these things in their head that stop them from using the knowledge that they are gaining. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that was something that personally kind of like spoke to me, because I was stuck on. I thought about doing a comic for a while before pulling the trigger on it. It was always something like, it was always in the back of my head ever since I was a teenager. You know what I mean? Like to do a comic book, or to work for Marvel or whatever it was. And I never took that thought seriously. And then once I had the opportunity, like I was sharing before, once I had the opportunity, it was like everything came crashing together. And it was like, oh yeah, I remember like this has been inside of you for the past 20 years or whatever. But then I had all these obstacles in my head of like, I can't write. And so I have to rely on someone else, and I don't have good ideas. And then once I just started doing it, I realized, I can do these things. All that was lacking was there was this mental obstacle in my way. Once I got out of that, things started pouring out of me, and I've just been having a ton of fun since then.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed that too with a lot of stuff that I do. I mean, I've noticed like a lot of things that I see is a lot of designers and artists that, like you said, they're scared to move and scared to get past that. But a lot of them are just scared, period, to start. Like when I was in design school, a lot of them were like, well, when I get my portfolio, then I'll make it. But the thing is, you had to start in design school to even just get through the door.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people fail now.
Yeah, like there's no perfect time.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about becoming a millionaire like Gary Vee. It's just like creating a comic book. Like there's no perfect time. Just do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of independent comics out there, but there's still so much room out there for them.
There really is. And like, I don't think there's a shortage of stories. There's always a new story or a new angle, right?
No, I think with Image's resurgence, it's proven it that there's so much more room for different independent comics because Image isn't just superheroes anymore. They're everything now, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, what I love about Gary Vee is that he has, and I listen to him all the time, so I'm going to keep bringing him up probably.
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone to think these are my ideas because they're not. I feel like I've gotten so much value from him that he puts it out there for free. Like, how could I do anything less, really? So what he's shown us is that you don't have to go through the traditional mediums to do your thing. Like that stuff is like obsolete almost. Comic books are still very much alive, but you can create a comic on Instagram. Actually, Todd Knock, he's a big legit comic book artist, but he has this very, very tiny side account, and I forget what it's called, but it's about this guy with a pumpkin head, right? And he does these short comics that you flip through, you swipe. You can make a comic that way, and if you do enough and you're good enough, you make enough content, and share your process along the way and stuff. There's probably a market for that. Someone will find you, and you might become an influencer or whatever. I don't know what the future looks like for that person, but you don't have to do a printed comic anymore if you want to be in comics. Web comics, obviously.
Yeah. So if you were a starting out artist right now, what social medias would you say that they need to be on to start off and get a real good amount of attention? Because I noticed that Instagram lately, with their latest change, it hasn't been getting as much interaction, but it's still getting similar amount, just not as much up front.
So if I were to start all over, I don't think it would matter what platform I choose, honestly.
Right.
What would matter is what I'm putting out there and how much of a community that I'm becoming a part of it. So if I were to start all over on Instagram right now, I think that's a great place to start. Vero there's been a lot of issues with it, but I think there's a lot of good stuff that could happen there.
Yeah.
But no matter what you choose, I think you have to become a part of the community. That means, searching the hashtags and leaving comments and insightful questions, and, posting at least once a day, probably.
Yeah.
Like that. I think that's it. And it's not about how many followers you get. It's about the quality of followers you get. People that are genuinely interested in what you're doing. So no matter what platform you pick, you probably should do your own thing and not, you know what I mean? Like if you want to attract people that are into what you do, then do what you do. Part of the problem that I came across, it's not really a problem, but I don't do a whole lot of fan art anymore. And that's why most people follow me.
Right.
'Cause I'm at like 8,800 followers, which is, I think, relatively small. But if I were to draw Venom every day, I'd probably have a lot more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I draw Spider-Man every day, I'm sure to have a lot more. But it's just I'm not feeling that stuff as much anymore. So I think if I were to start all over, I'd probably pick Instagram and Vero. I probably wouldn't spend any time on YouTube anymore. And I probably shouldn't anymore, honestly. But I would just do my own thing. Right off the bat, I would be doing creator-owned. I would be doing Sculptor Stories and Astropig and some fan art here and there, but I would want to build the community that is into my creative stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would almost say also on top of that, live streaming's wicked important now.
Oh, okay.
Like Facebook, it's pushing it harder than it's ever gonna, and it's gonna push it harder going further down the road.
Mm.
Like they've started actually buying Twitch streamers off of their platform and moving them over to Facebook.
Oh, wow.
And they've been seeing growth faster than they were when they were affiliated. So
wow. I have neglected my Facebook page completely.
Yeah. I would there's a guy called Darkness429. Mm-hmm. He was on Twitch an affiliate, which means he was making some money, and then he left and now he's gaining like I was watching him last week and playing Fortnite. He had 10,000 viewers.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, I think I was doing a lot of live streams, but the way I was treating it was I was recording it and then re-uploading it as a time lapse. There's plenty of room. Like when I draw, there's no reason why I shouldn't be live streaming every single second of that.
Yeah, I was doing. I've kind of fell off of it just because of certain priorities have come up, but I was doing Twitch and Mixer at the same time, which are one's the biggest and one's the upcoming new biggest one. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think live streaming is really good for people starting up too.
Yeah, I don't think it would hurt. I think the process, like people are really, really interested in the process. That's the community that I'm trying to build right now is artists that are new or independent, just like me. Like that's who I am. Right. And so I'm just reaching out to people that are like me, and sharing my process, and people really like it.
Yeah. So, what are like your main influences? Like when you start working on a project, like do you have like art books that you look at and like suggestions, or do you just have like a bank in your memory that you have, or
no art books. I don't invest in any art books or comic books anymore.
Right.
it's just I don't know, it's sad to say, but it's kind of clutter. And I mean, I have even this is like clutter. Right. But yeah, I don't spend money on that stuff just because that stuff's expensive, dude.
It is. I have 5 long boxes in the shed. And...
Oh man. Yeah, I have stuff in my garage that I've had forever. It's like 90s comics. Yeah. And I just can't seem to get rid of it. And like I hate that. I hate that emotional connection or that attachment I have. Yeah. It's like I'm shackled to it.
And plus 90 comics are like a penny on a dime, so
I know they are. I know.
That's the worst part about them.
Yeah. So what was the question? What's the inspiration or what I have in my head or?
Yeah. What's your inspiration when you start working on a project? Like,
I tend to rely on it's just this feeling of like, I have to get this down. I have to do this.
Right.
And, I kind of wait for that feeling. And luckily I have a number of things where I feel like that. The podcast is right now something I'm super, really passionate about. And that came out of nowhere, but I have to do it.
Right.
And then, same with, Scolder Stories. It's something I have to do. Afterpig is there also, not quite as much. So I think I'm realizing that Scolder Stories is a little bit more important to me, but it's just this thing inside of me. It's like, I have to do it. And then I think as far as the content in it, I really enjoy things with heavy violence. I just do. It is, man. It's, like there's things that I might pull from, like John Woo has that super stylized, heavy, action film kind of stuff,
Right.
Hey, look at that. So this is the half issue you're looking at.
Right.
But also, so I like a lot of action, anime, Ninja Scroll, John Woo stuff. I like blood. I like violence. But the other part of me is that I want to balance that out with is heavy emotional content. So in this one right here, in the half issue, this is all about Nyx. He's my main character from issue 1, and the connection he has with that girl right there. Her name's, spoiler alert, is Penelope. On the side of her head it says FUC, so you're not supposed to know what it is. And then we realize it's Penelope. Oops. So I want to include a heavy emotional component to each of my characters.
Right.
That comes from my day job. Is I'm a therapist. I work in mental health.
Gotcha.
And I that's a huge part of what I do, is that emotional stuff that people go through and are dealing with. So that's what makes us, who we are. So I want to include that emotional stuff because I think it, it's like it instantly clicks with people. You know what I mean? Yeah. So in that awkward scene there where the two of them are kind of like instantly hitting it off, to me that brings me back to being a teenager and seeing that girl, and it's like right away it's like bam, like you just get sucked in. So I've just kind of recaptured that. The two of them have some messed up histories also that I kind of touch on in that half issue. Because I think that heavy stuff is really important, and I like to touch on it, and then to balance that out with heavy violence, I don't know, it makes sense to me.
It kind of does.
Yeah, so my first 3 issues out of 6 are each one has a different Scourger protagonist, and issue 2 is her name is Masako, and I have this, I think, really kind of deep look into why she is the way she is, and it comes from a very traumatized past, and it explains why she is the way she is in issue number 2, like to get the full picture, and then for issue 3. I don't want to say what happens, but I have a half issue planned for issue 3 as well that kind of goes deeper into a specific moment in the series, on an emotional level. Like it's just, I feel like it's just really kind of needed, to understand the character,
Yeah, I mean, I think like when you read like DC or Marvel, like these characters for so long, well, most of them except some of the newer ones that so long that you just kind of know their story.
Yeah.
I had one more question. Now I'm trying to remember it. Oh, so recently you did like a contest for people to design a new character in your book. Do you think that's important to bring the community back into the book and kind of make it feel like it's also their book as well as yours?
I don't know if that I don't know if that was the benefit for me.
Okay.
That ended up being the benefit for the people that took part in it, and that was really cool. Was the feedback I got from people was I've been, a couple of people said I've been stuck in like an artistic rut, but this context kind of got me out of it. I was really super passionate about the character I was making for you. I did a couple of these. I did one where it was a Scourger design contest where you design your own Scourger, and then another one which was the Android design contest where you design an Android, which is going to go into issue 3.
Right.
And with both of those, people said like, thank you so much for doing this. It's not about winning or losing. Just being a part of this was a lot of fun. And that to me was a happy little reward I didn't expect. I felt kind of bad asking for this because I can't pay anyone. I'm not,
Right.
So I felt guilty, but I'm like, you know what? Like, let's just put it out there. The response I got was really, really overall super, just very positive. Nothing negative to say at all. And I think it stemmed from me recognizing that my design, my character concept stuff is not the strongest, and I needed help. So I just put it out there as a fun contest, and people responded to it. I'm really happy with what I got.
Yeah, I looked at some of the entries. It was pretty good, and the one that won, I think, actually really deserved it. It was a pretty cool design, actually.
For the Scourger, it was the hybrid.
Yeah,
the hybrid human and dragon type thing.
Yeah,
it tied directly into issue 1, so it was like he saw something that I may not have seen.
Right.
So I was really happy with that. And then the Android design contest, that's something that I think design a character concept is a weakness of mine, because I just haven't spent enough time on it. But then like doubly is Android design or robot design. That's where once things get to those like static shapes, I guess they don't have to be that way, but that's where my brain really kind of freezes up.
Right.
So with the Android, I was really having a hard time. I didn't know where to go at all. So I put it out there to the community, and the design I got was like, once I saw it, I knew instantly that like that's it. That's the one. It fit perfectly into the style I've been building up visually,
Right.
Yeah, so overall great experience, and I've been thinking about doing something like that again for issue 3, because for Astro Pig book 1,
right?
Because that Astro Pig is going to have a lot of creatures in it, just kind of in the landscape.
Yeah,
and so I've been thinking about asking people to submit, if you want to have your creature included, just submit it, and I'll put in as many in as I can that I think will be a good fit. So I haven't pulled the trigger on that, but I might do that.
Yeah, I think it's good with a small book like that, an independent book, to bring the community back in, because I think it only makes it stronger for them to keep reading it.
Yeah, I think so. My concern, this is just like my issue. I feel like I owe them something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I hate that feeling. So that's what I think I'd probably do more of this stuff, but I hate feeling like you have a claim over my book in some fashion. You know what I mean? That's just, I think it's my own issue, but it keeps bugging me.
Yeah, I know that feeling. If I ask for something, I'd have a gut feeling of just, I asked for too much already.
Exactly. Isn't that kind of sad too? And
like I asked for help for insurance for my work. I was like, I feel like I asked for too much for you guys already, and I've been here for 5 years.
But like Gary Vee, he says like if you don't like, just ask. The worst they can do is say no, right?
Yeah.
But still, there's this mental obstacle for me where I don't.
I'm trying to think of anything else. So I was looking at like your page layouts and stuff.
Yeah.
This is where I just completely like go OCD because like I'm completely insane about layout design when it comes to.
Put it. I can't see it. Put it up here. I would love to get. Yeah, share.
Okay. Screen share.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Okay. Like I like your color layouts and stuff. Like it's, I like at least the minimum amount of color layout as possible. Just because it kind of like attracts the eye where you want it to go specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But this page, I think, is almost right. The only thing is, like, I think these bubbles are good here.
Okay.
But I think this building should kind of be pointing here, and this bubble should be here. So it kind of makes your eye do like a zigzag kind of effect and keep following it through the page. So your eye kind of like has a motion path to go through, and then it flips to the next page kind of thing.
And I didn't on this page. I remember I did not think of it. Usually with the pages I do, I think very clearly about where I want you to look.
Yeah.
And with this one, I had this thing in my head where I wanted to do this like zooming, like spinning camera thing, but I'm like, I should realize, that I'm not doing a movie here.
Yeah.
And it doesn't translate that well on panels. So really, I should think of this as a comic and then guide the eye. So yeah, you're right. Because I did this like spinny thing, and then I just had the text go straight down.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I think like your layouts are like they're familiar enough for people to know that it's a comic book and how to read it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're different enough to stand out. Like I think a lot of people are scared when it comes to comic books to change the layout.
Yes, I agree.
I think like the biggest thing like I've seen change up was, well, Flash New 52 kind of do, but Flash Rebirth really just changed everything.
I'm unfamiliar with that.
It's crazy. Like they did certain things with time and certain things with how fast he's going and moving across the pages.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty cool. I'm a big Flash fan.
Go to book one because this one, I played it pretty safe. But book one is where I was just kind of like, it was like just visual vomit. I'm like, I'm just going to have fun and do it,
Yeah.
So the black and white stuff, this was done years and years ago.
Okay.
And I found a way to incorporate it into book one or issue one.
Yeah. I kind of like it because it looks older and almost like it's supposed to be in the past.
Well, yeah, exactly. It is, and it worked out nicely. So as far as design, this page right here with his face, each issue of the first 3 will have a page like this per character. So if you go to issue 2, you'll see the same thing with Masako's face. It's kind of like the mission page. You get to see their face and kind of just get a feel for the character.
Yeah, it almost feels like how Marvel used to do the Stan Lee Presents with a little bit of a blurb to catch you up and stuff. I like this page. I like how it kind of, you get a zoom in of the ship or what's going in the ship, and then you get the ship, and then you get stuff's about to happen because people are wearing helmets and stuff.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I want to. Well, no, actually, you go ahead first. I want to hear your thoughts before I taint them with my thoughts.
Oh, okay. I like this one because you can kind of see the ship zooming in.
Yeah.
And the contrast of the color. So the ship, it looks like it's gonna mess some shit up because it's not brightly colored as the planet itself.
Yeah, and I was hoping that visually it'd be overhanging us, kind of imposing into the page rather than like gracefully entering the page. It's jutting itself in there, and I was hoping that the eye would carry across those clouds and kind of into the horizon.
Yeah, and I think it works good with the bubble because you have this one up here, and it kind of, with the ship pointing down this way, it kind of points you down to these other bubbles.
Yeah.
And this cloud does kind of help you bring you over to the other one, so that kind of works good too.
Yep.
But I think this is like a pretty good layout for an independent book because a lot of them they're good, but they're kind of just playing it safe.
Yeah. I didn't want to. I just wanted to have fun and tell the story as best I could without fitting into a mold exactly. So I got kind of creative, I think, at times. As long as I thought it worked.
Yeah. I do like how all your colors are kind of bright, but your blood is like especially bright.
That was a Frank Miller kind of influence, I think.
Yeah. If anyone does bright blood, it's Frank Miller.
Yeah.
I really like this though, where you kind of see the silhouettes and then them falling with the bloods and stuff.
I was hoping this is a page I added in kind of at the last minute because the previous page was all this action going on.
Right.
And then this page, I wanted there to be a pause. So the body's falling. I'm hoping it gives the reader just a visual pause and your eye carries down diagonally. And then you have the build up, the 3 bottom panels. And I was hoping the idea here with the sound effects is that you have to, slightly pause for each word. And then I wanted to make them small, so you had to focus a little bit more, just to kind of get a little bit more build up. That was the goal. Hopefully, I pulled it off.
Yeah, I could see that actually working here.
Yes.
I really like this page with the movement, how it works. It's pretty slick with the movement.
Tell me more.
The only thing about comic books is when I see movement that's like good, I don't know how to explain it. It's just good.
Yeah. Well, this one I did have a goal in mind, which is I wanted the reader to, no matter where your eye fell, I wanted your eye to carry in an oval motion.
Right.
So the red, all the red and the black silhouette, so there's like these black spots, and the red the idea was that they would carry your eye in like an oval. And even if you look at the bamboo in the left, that's kind of closer to us.
Yeah.
And the bamboo on the right, that's kind of closer to us. Even those are supposed to contain the eye into that oval of the red. So that was the goal.
It almost reminds me of like a Nightwing spread where he's jumping from rooftop to rooftop, where you can see his whole arc of movement.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think this is a really clean comic book. Like I like your color palette. I like how you did panels differently.
Yeah, that page right there, up one of the panels is the sword. No, go down.
Go down, right here. Yep.
That one.
Yeah.
I call it a black hole weapon because it acts like a black hole. It sucks things into it.
Nice.
So it doesn't actually cut anything. It actually removes matter from whatever it touches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that acts as a panel. Yeah. A little creative, not too much, but kind of creative.
Enough to make it not noticeable, but noticeable.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I like this right here, this bottom part where you see he's carrying the head.
Yeah.
But you don't see him carrying the head all the way. It's a nice silhouette.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's one of those little emotional moments.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I pulled it off, but I wanted that yellow to be a flashback where he's remembering his dad because his dad dies on this page. Right. And then he's got a nice little hug with his dad there.
Yeah. I think the only way better to make it work as a flashback is maybe make it a little bit less saturated and overall faded.
It's supposed to be a happy moment, though.
Yeah.
Mixed in with the sadness directly above it as his dad dies.
Right.
So it's just, I wanted a happy moment mixed in with that sadness, and I don't know, you think I pulled it off or no?
Yeah, I think you did.
Moving on.
Like I said, that's the only thing I could think of that would maybe make it work better is a desaturated a little bit, but that's something I could think of.
I don't know.
And I like this panel. It reminds me of almost like a Dragon Ball Super or Dragon Ball Z moment. Staring off at the boss.
Oh yeah, that's the feel I was going for. I wanted you to notice that moon right away, and then go to his helmet insignia, and then down to the dust, which takes us to the 3 Jabberwock.
Yeah.
What sucks is, like, in my mind, that's what I want to have happen, but I have no idea if it happens or not for people.
I think it does with this panel. The only thing I think that gets lost is the speech bubble.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah. I think everything else, like you said, works. Just the speech bubble gets lost. But besides that...
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
I mean, half the things that people read comic books for cool art, so...
Yeah, but really the words are the bubbles are what carries I think the eye mostly.
Yeah.
I've noticed for myself, like if I'm really into a comic, I don't like I'll just keep going bubble to bubble and I won't notice the art unless it's really terrific. But the bubbles carry it.
Yeah. I think this one works really good with the bubbles.
Yeah.
How it kind of carries you down and carries you through each panel.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, I like to play with the colors. I really want things to pop out just to add to that energy level.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like things. So this issue is pretty dark, and I'm digitally like we're looking at it right now. I'm fine with that. When it got printed out, it ended up being darker, which I guess is normal, but I didn't anticipate that. So the book itself, it feels a bit too dark, and the blue, like all those pops, like the blues and the reds, they get way muted, which really sucked.
Yeah, it just depends what you print on. Sometimes that's what I've learned over time.
Well, the guy said he uses industry standard, paper and ink or whatever, and I believed him. So it looked fine, but it just I know what I wanted it to look like,
Right. I guess it's one of those things you have to learn as you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I just have to adjust for that. Yeah.
So what tools do you use to make your comics and stuff?
I am using Clip Studio Paint.
Okay.
Just because they have it's made for comic books. So the panels and the way you can work within the panels, it just makes it really easy. They have the speech bubbles and everything you need is ready to go. And I use my new Surface Pro. It's the one after the Surface Pro 4.
Right.
So I use that because I can bring it with me anywhere and everywhere, and no matter where I'm out, I can bust it out and start working on, whatever I'm working on. Like it's so practical. Yeah. And then I got the new, like that's why I got the new Surface Pro, but also because it can run full programs. Like the iPad Pro can do some kick-ass stuff, but you can't technically run like a full Photoshop or whatever,
Yeah, I think they have a new version of Clip Studio. I forget what they changed the name to it of, but they have an iPad version of it. I just played with it.
I wonder how, I don't know, I haven't looked into how good it is. If it's comparable to what I'm doing right now, I'd probably rather use the iPad Pro because I used it once and man, it felt great.
Yeah.
So if they can replicate Clip Studio on that, they probably would get me to buy a new iPad Pro.
I have a hate for Apple, but the iPad Pro makes me want to get an iPad.
Why do you hate Apple?
I've just had, I guess I've come from gaming PCs.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not used to that level of not customization. So I want to build my computer and make sure it has everything I need in it. And
yeah, Apple kind of wants to give you like the thing that's done and it's cool and it's minimal and it's ready to go. But yeah, I'm kind of like you where I want to mess with stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I want a big black box that I know can do whatever I have it thrown at it.
No, totally. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah. But I've looked at the iPad Pro and I'm like, man, this makes me want to get it actually.
Have you tried drawing on it or sketching or anything?
Yeah, the Apple Pencil actually makes me want to get it. That's the one thing.
Yeah. It feels, I just did it briefly, but it feels really good.
Yeah, like I like the Surface.
Yeah.
And that pen, but it feels completely different than that.
It does. I can't believe how much of a difference there is, but you're right. Yeah, it totally does.
Like I have a Wacom Intuos, and it's close to that. Like they're probably on the same level as them.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So I don't know if you hear about Clip Studio Paint being as good on the iPad Pro, let me know. I'll probably jump over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm happy with my Surface Pro.
Yeah, I've heard when people get them, they like them. Like there's no complaints really from.
No, it's cool because I do some light video editing on it, not too much, but it has the Xbox game recorder, so I can record anything I do.
Right.
And then it has I downloaded Movie Maker, which is a very simple editing program, but it has this phenomenal time lapse mode where you can be very exact on how fast you want it to go, not just like 2 times, 4 times, 8 times, but you can do like 13.7 times fast. So I can get these videos to the exact length that I need to match a song or to match some of my audio from a podcast or whatever. So that's kind of my tools that I use day to day.
Yeah. Sounds pretty cool. I've been thinking about getting a Surface. I currently have just like a cheap Android tablet that I use for like monitoring chat when I stream, and occasionally I'll draw on it. But
what is it?
It's a Lenovo Tab 3 or something. But
I used those are pretty decent, aren't they?
I mean, it's good. It does what it needs to do.
Is that a monitor or is that a standalone?
It's a standalone Android tablet. It's just like a $150 tablet.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I got a little bamboo stylus, and I'll use if I draw on it, I'll use Adobe Sketch, just because I'm hooked into the Adobe ecosystem and I can't get out of it somehow.
If it works, man.
Yeah.
I had gotten some knockoff Surface Pro. It was I want to say like Asus or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was considerably less, but I thought it would do what it needed to do, and it was pretty bad. Yeah. And that's when I realized, like, if I want to be able to work at a certain level, I have to invest in it.
There's someone that came out with a Surface. It's basically a Surface Pro killer. It looks just like it, has all the same abilities, and it's about a third the cost of it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
No idea what it was?
Starts with a V.
Wow. That sounds cool.
It was pretty cool when I saw it.
That sounds cool.
And they started it by kickstarting it.
Oh, wow.
So let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, sure.
It is called the EVV tablet.
EV?
Yeah. EVEV tablet. An image of it.
I'm going to look it up right now. EVE.
V tablet.
Wait, hold on. All those letters sound similar.
This is it right here.
Oh, okay, cool.
I mean, it's got pretty good reviews on it too, and
are you doing a screen share?
Yeah, I think I am. Yeah,
I'm not seeing anything yet.
Oh, well, that's weird. Oh wait.
So you're thinking about doing more interviews for your podcast, man?
Yeah, I got another one lined up for an animator in Australia called Sam Green.
Right on.
Yeah. He's done some pretty cool animations.
Andy probably has an accent.
He does.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm happy
he also does a stream on Twitch, which is pretty good to watch every once in a while.
For animation?
He does animations, and then every once in a while he'll do like commission work.
Wow.
And he'll do, every once in a while he'll just start giving out free sketches to people in the chat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any screen share yet.
What? It says I'm sharing it to everyone.
That should be it. No.
Oh, I don't know why it's not doing it. Right.
Oh yeah, it's weird. Your screen freezes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't show me what you're looking at.
Huh.
Oh well.
Let me try that.
Hey, there we go. Oh, something's happening. Oh wow, look at that.
It looks just like it.
Wow. Kickstand too.
And it's got a keyboard that lights up.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the lifestyle.
Yep. If there's anything you want to make for gamers, just put RGB lighting in it.
RGB 11?
RGB lighting. Make it light up any color. And they'll like it.
That looks really cool.
Yeah. So, I don't think I have any more questions right now.
All right,
man. All right.
Thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, I guess just let everyone know where they can find your stuff.
Oh, well, right now I kind of want to change my name so they're all uniform.
Right.
Just maybe make everything The Art of Justin Prime. But for now, my website is theartofjustinprime.com. All one word, theartofjustinprime.com. And My Instagram would be my main social media. It's Justin_Prime. And the other thing you should probably know about is my podcast. I call it the J Primecast because I'm terrible at naming things. Everything I name has just got JP in it. The J Primecast. It is my kind of my passion right now. Honestly, I'm really into it. But every week I release stuff throughout the week. One thing I release is called JP Reads, where I read off rap songs word for word without the beat or anything. I just read it.
Right.
That's been like just unending humor for me. And then I have a weekly podcast, Primecast, every Monday morning where I kind of reflect on my week and what I did and didn't achieve. It's all processy kind of stuff. And I share very clearly about, where I'm at with my projects, what went right, what went wrong. And people seem to be really getting a lot out of that. And then I also do things throughout the week. Like I'll do a 2-minute answer. Usually it's in my car so far. And I'll just answer something in 2 minutes. And that's, I call it like a mini cast. And then there'll be other mini casts where it's like, I'll just kind of reflect on an idea or something. Just whatever kind of inspires me. So, it's intended for people like me that are independent or amateur creators and in comics or whatever, but just people that are kind of figuring it out. That's because I feel like that's kind of where I'm at right now, just figuring stuff out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And if there's any final thoughts you want to give anybody that's starting out?
Oh, just start it, dude. I mean, just start. And for me, it was this like nagging, like I said, when I was 15, it was just this thing in the back of my head, like, it'd be kind of cool if, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's the seed. Like, pay attention to that little voice in the back of your head and like, water it, you know what I mean? Like, try it out, draw a panel. Don't just keep thinking about it. Like, just start something, just a little bit, do a panel each day or whatever, or once a week, whatever you think you can handle, but just start.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on and thank you for your time.
You're very welcome, man. Thank you.
Yep.